Hey, everybody, and welcome to Lawfare Live, our first special election edition. And no, we are not here to preview the debate. Everywhere else, there's 100 places you can go to have the debate previewed for you. There are 1,000 places you can go to talk about the polls, and there are about 1,020 places that you can go to find out who thinks you should vote for. And we're not going to do any of that. We're actually going to be relentlessly substantive today. We're going to talk about what we can reasonably expect from the various candidates about important issues of national security, in this case, overseas. In future such episodes, we'll be talking about other lawfare-centered issues that are more domestic, like the conduct of the election itself. But today, we're going to be talking about NATO, about Ukraine, about Israel and Gaza, and about Taiwan, but not in that order. Joining me for this conversation, Lawfare senior editor Scott Anderson, Natan Sachs of the Brookings Institution, the head of the Center for Middle East Studies at this fine institution, Kori Schake, the head of foreign policy at our next door neighbor, well, two doors down, the American Enterprise Institute, and Dmitry Alperovich of the Silverado Policy Accelerator, frequent Lawfare contributor, and polymathic person interested in just about all things national security. So the fewer words I say in this conversation, the better. So I'm going to shut up. I'm going to start by asking Kori Schake to give us what we can reasonably say with all the rhetoric stripped away. How should we understand the differences between the two candidates on Ukraine? And is it as stark as it looks?
So I honestly don't know how to answer that, Ben. And the reason I don't know how to answer that is because I think there's an enormous area of unknowns about what a Trump administration would do toward Ukraine. I think we have a very good sense of what the Harris administration would do, which is probably rough continuity with what the Biden administration has done. She hasn't said anything, made any suggestions that she is more risk tolerant, more likely to relax the policy restriction on using American weapons to strike into Russian territory, which would make the biggest difference in the conduct of the war. So I think you can expect continuity from a Harris administration. But I mean, I think the chaos premium we would pay in a Trump administration is enormous because it's hard to say what he would do. He seems to think he could, get a great deal and end the war within 24 hours. It's hard to see how that is possible unless the Trump administration is going to cease all Western support to Ukraine, in which case they lose. But even that might not bring the war to an end because it would encourage Russia to further aggression, both in Ukraine and beyond. So I think it's really hard to say. Trump fashions himself a great deal maker. He seems to think he wants to keep all of his options open, but that's quite a tumultuous path for the dominant state in the international order to take. And it prevents allies from aligning their policies to yours to reinforce it. And it encourages adversaries to challenge existing obligations because it's not at all clear you'll honor them.
All right.